Hey everybody, you are now listening to the Banter All-Stars podcast. In this episode, we discuss our thoughts about watermarks, gender diversity in portrait portfolios, and differences between wedding and portrait photography. Let's get it.
He said he was happy for you to use any of the songs on that.
For free?
For tree?
For tree?
Yes.
Or for free?
For 3 times.
3 times.
3 times for 3 times.
Look, Nigel's not here to enjoy
No
it, so
times.
let's just drop it.
Fair enough.
Don't worry, man. We enjoy it.
The essence of it, Nigel continues.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Banter All-Stars.
What's up?
What up?
Yo.
What up?
What up?
All right. This time, David couldn't stand being behind the camera
That
and wanted
FOMO
to join.
Nah, I need to be here.
Yeah, he had massive FOMO. But you know, like I mean, maybe it's a honky thing, man. Like we just like talking shit.
Nah, it's just a David thing, man. Come on.
is
Just
it?
David.
Oh,
Nah,
yeah, I
man.
think David talks a lot of shit, man.
Seeing you guys have fun, I can't have to be part of it, right? I can't just
That's,
stand
that's
there.
true. It's not right for you to just stand there. Like
That's
I felt,
right.
I really wanted to include you. Like
We all did, David.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But you know, we only have 4 mics, but we're making it work this time, hopefully. And yeah, let's get with it. Let's get on. All right. So, watermarks on photography. What's everyone's thoughts? Yes or no, or
Is it
And why?
a unanimous thing, firstly?
I think
I
it's
think it is for
pretty
us.
unanimous. But
Subjective.
let's try and add, or at least quantify it as to why. Well,
Oh,
okay,
so-
let's start with Ollie.
Yeah, start with Ollie, yeah,
Let's start with Ollie, and then we'll work our way around.
So if it was like probably 5-10 years ago, maybe watermarks were in. I personally did have a watermark, and it was just like a website, just at the bottom, just a logo, and that was it. But now, with all the different kind of software that is around that can remove stuff, I don't see the point in watermarks. Like I don't bother personally.
Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
like it.
if somebody would have thought a watermark now, I could definitely edit it out.
Yeah.
So it's really not too hard. But
So-
I mean, like most of the stuff you put online now, like you have to be prepared that it's going to be taken anyways. Or use a website that won't let you screenshot or won't let you save it, for instance. It's almost unavoidable, I reckon.
Did you ever have a watermark at one stage?
I did. I did.
I reckon
Like,
everyone must though, surely.
yeah. What? Well, Dryman is just started like a year or so. Like he's
No.
new age. Like we're probably like old farts.
fart,
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah. What about you, Dave?
I think before we go on to actually like the watermarks itself, like and everything, like you said, quantify what the watermark, what purpose is it trying to actually serve? Like I reckon there's like two purposes, right?
Mm.
One, stop people copying images.
Yeah.
And secondly, to actually give yourself a plug or exposure or like just kind of signature and sign it off. If it's just a little signature at the bottom, a sign off thing, then I don't see there's a problem with that. But just the ones in the middle that just goes
Across
right
the face.
across the
So,
face.
so my opinion is that sometimes like if you do a good enough signature work, people will know your work. But in some sense, like when people just watermark and it's just every other plain old shot, nobody's going to steal your shot to begin with, guys. So there's really no point in watermarking unless it's like truly transcendent, which you got to be honest with yourself. Like I'm honest with myself. My shit is not like transcendent or anything. Like I am sure there's another like 5 or 10 guys around the world, at least on Instagram as well, who probably have a similar style.
yeah.
Mm.
Just 5 or 10.
I don't know, maybe like thousands. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I saw it was like if all the grades out there are not watermarking their images, I'll park my watermark now.
Yeah, exactly. Because it ruins the shot. It makes it tacky. You know, it's
and
sort
plus
of,
it spoils it. Yeah, it kind of spoils
yeah.
the shot.
It's sort of like when you walk into a small supermarket, right?
Mhm.
And they're just independent, and they start putting on price tags, price labels on every item, rather than having the price label just at the front. It's sort of like that vibe for me. You know what I mean? Like,
It just feels a bit extra.
Yeah, and just like tacky and very like aesthetically unpleasing. I don't know. Maybe that's just how I see
I reckon we need to find someone who does use the watermark and get him on a show.
it. Whoa.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a couple.
Yeah, I think
there's a
so.
few. I think that posted.
Yeah, there's a few in
There's
that
a couple.
couple.
I honestly
On the
can't
chat.
name off the top of my head who.
Maximilian.
Oh, does he?
Does he?
Yeah, didn't he just go to Japan?
And watermarked his shots.
Yeah, it was like just
Really?
massive like.
Did he?
Maximilian.
Oh, I
well,
don't.
we should ask him. Just ask him.
Yeah.
what the
Yeah, we're
logic
just
is there.
asking. Yeah,
Just
maybe.
It's good shots though.
Just-
It's really good
yeah.
shots.
Yeah, he's a great photographer,
Yeah.
but I feel like I've seen some of the similar work as well.
Sorry, going back to what you were saying, David, about if it's done nice and subtle, you reckon it's okay. Have you actually seen examples of that?
Yeah,
What do
I
you think?
have actually. Just like a lot of like the new age kind of like sign off or watermarks. It's just kind of like the calligraphy kind of sign off, like squiggle signature kind of thing.
Like
What
Peter
type of work?
McKinnon.
Kind of like that. But it's like if you just kind of subtly in the corner,
Nah,
just to
that's
kind
still
of like
tacky
Yeah,
to
man.
me.
Oh well, I
Like,
think it's.
even worse. Like, if you can't read the font, then what does that watermark even mean?
I think it's just like a little logo, like
Motif,
just,
little
like
motif.
just so you know that
Yeah.
it's just a
Like
little
sign.
logo.
It's like artists of the days. old
Yeah,
time
it's
who
like
just
tagging,
to sign
yeah.
off on their work and stuff.
That's correct.
Having said that, I know you guys might have heard this name Calip, CALOP,
Yeah.
on Instagram. So he does a lot of surrealism, like Photoshop work. And like his setups aren't like insane. Like it's just probably like your everyday household light, torch, maybe a bit of like pillow foam or whatever they call it. Like, and then like he makes it into like
Clouds.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
I've seen that.
clouds and
Wow,
art
that's pretty
pieces.
nice.
So yeah, he actually started watermarking.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, but he
Mm.
puts it in a very subtle way that it looks like it's a part of the image. Like if it's on the book, it will say like photo by Calip, but it looks like a book cover.
I've seen that. I've seen examples of his work where he's
That's
got
cool.
like billboard post, like a billboard neon, and it's got Caleb written on the side.
Yeah.
somewhere. It's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
part of the image.
Yeah, so I
Mm.
guess I know this is sort of like being a hypocrite, but I think that is actually pretty cool.
That's creative.
But in general, like the watermarks is just like if you're gonna make it, if you're gonna put a watermark, maybe integrate it into your image or somehow at least make it hard for the person to copy. Like if it's just in a negative space, that is so easy to just edit out. You might
Just
as well
crop it
not
out.
have a watermark, right?
Yeah. No, I was actually finding that people would just, if someone did steal image for like their portfolio or something, they would just crop out the corner and that was it.
Yeah.
Lots of
Well, I
watermarks.
mean, I've even had models that like just crop it, just crop it all.
Just copy entire
yeah,
one third.
yeah, exactly. Or like they don't care. To them, like rule of thirds doesn't mean anything because
Yeah.
they just don't understand.
I
Yeah.
would say that.
Or some do. I'm not saying all of them.
We'll get some models on the show and we'll ask them.
Yeah, we'll be keen. I guess we're still pretty early with the models and stuff, but hopefully we can bring some guests on.
Mm.
Yeah.
Get some kiss.
So, John, being like new to photography and stuff, right? And I guess like the whole watermark phase thing is pretty much dead. Like that used to be a very Flickr thing. Like every photo on Flickr would have a watermark. Flickr's old website used to be, I think it's still run by Yahoo.
Yeah, it's still run.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
by Yahoo,
Well,
but-
basically, every photographer back then used to upload to that website. Like there was no Instagram or Facebook or anything. This was like a pure like photo purist website, and that's where people uploaded. And there was a lot of, I guess, watermarking then because, well, it's probably the easiest way to identify yourself. But nowadays, like with Instagram and like just social media, everything's all linked, and it's really easy to just trace who it came from. But since you started like a year and a half ago, that sort of never existed, I guess, from the get-go from when you started. So what's your thoughts as a newcomer now into the scene? Like, do you think watermarks would have any value, or do you think it's maybe a bit tacky, or
From my perspective itself, like it depends actually like what kind of photography that you use for your watermark. If it's like just displaying it in for public, I don't think it's necessary to put like watermark. But if like you're doing like for business, like sending clients for samples, basically like that's watermark. But it's like watermark with purpose basically. And I think for now, like watermark itself like more more be used like for prints. Some like prints that displayed in art or like coffee shops sometimes. Like you put like subtle watermark like in the corner. But it's like for prints because like print itself, like you cannot know like who take these photographs anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but like I think for digital it's kinda cringy.
Yeah,
Cringy for me.
definitely.
So yeah.
I think it's each to their own. Maybe some people are that proud of their work, and I mean, fair enough. But
I have put watermarks on client delivery work before. Like if I had a feeling that these guys want a lot of maybe they wanted the raws and I said I don't give you raws, but they still insisted on seeing a large volume of pictures that they can pick from, then I would chuck the watermark on because I thought that maybe they would just rip the image.
so like a proof sheet or something.
Not on the proof sheet. They had asked for let's say 100 photos when I was only willing to give 50. And they just kept on asking about it, so I said, okay, fine, I'll give you 100, but with the watermark on. But you can only pick the 50. Like they didn't want a proof sheet. Yeah, and it's kind of like if they wanted a proof sheet, they would have wanted one with a full size image on each page of the proof sheet, which is the same as just uploading everything on like Pixie Set or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's why I put the watermark on and I said, okay, you go ahead and pick them, but the watermark stays on until you let me know which ones you want me to edit.
So you're gonna plaster it like straight across the middle, right?
Huh?
Plaster it straight across the middle?
Yeah,
No,
basically.
No, it was like massive,
fucked.
like a massive
Gone across?
diagonal right across. Yeah.
We're saying sun.
Some god
Yeah.
rays at the back.
Shot by
I'll
sun.
just put
Got raised at the back.
Yeah,
What the-
sun.
Oh man, that'd be a good watermark,
yeah,
Not
Yeah.
bad.
like a smiling sun.
No, because it'll wreck the
it
kind of
could
exposure
wreck
of
the
it. They can't just take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, it was before I changed my handle to X James Sun. It was still Landscape Labs.
Oh
So-
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It just kind of pisses me off because it's like it's just very terrible to look at.
Yeah.
You just don't like it, do you?
Yeah, I just don't like it, and like it's the internet. If you don't want it stolen, don't put it on the internet. Simple as that, right?
True.
True.
Cool. So unanimously, we reckon that it's pretty tacky in this day and age, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you should stop it. But again,
Let
it's
us
up to
know.
personal preference. Let us know in the comments if
let
you
us know.
agree or don't agree.
Yeah.
Comment section either in YouTube or I think maybe SoundCloud, but I don't think we are uploading in SoundCloud. But we'll see. We haven't quite worked it out yet.
Yeah. No, but if you're someone that actually do add watermarks to your image,
Yeah.
why don't you let us know in the comments below why you added in
Yeah.
and what purpose it served and how has it saved you?
Mm.
I mean, I have had stuff stolen, like ripped.
Recently as well, isn't it? Recently.
Yeah, recently. But like, look, at least people already know that shot is my original shot. So they automatically report it for me and actually told me. So that's how I came about it. But yeah, like I said, if you can create unique work, the work speaks for itself. You don't need a watermark. All right, let's just take a break and
We'll be
come
back.
Hey everyone, if you're not already following us on social media, make sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Banter All Stars. And welcome back. James, you had something you wanted to say?
Okay, so we talk about quite a few things in this Banter podcast, and like sometimes we run out of topics, but some things come up in our network, and I think we should discuss it.
Mm.
Okay.
Interesting.
We don't know about this, by the way. So
Go for gold.
all
Okay, it's
Yeah.
Or live.
spontaneous.
Go for it.
spontaneous.
If your page is only female models,
Oh.
is that a diversity thing? Does it matter? Do you care about the way you curate your page to please people who might say something about diversity or not? Or do you not care? Or you do your page just for you?
I do me for me,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I curate my
I
page
mean, he's
based on
even
my
wearing a
own preference.
purple shirt.
Mate, I don't. Yeah. I wore it for this
Purple.
special
All
occasion, man.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Would you feel offended if someone called you out on it?
I mean, the problem with like I'm guilty of it as well is that when you post male photos, it's as awesome as it is, it also hurts the engagement a lot.
Mm.
It's just natural. And plus, my view is that like you're very limited with male models in terms of like, I guess, poses and stuff. Whereas like females are naturally more
Expressive.
more flexible and stuff. So like when it comes to like acrobatics or ballet dancing or figure skating and stuff, it's like a completely different form. And that's just my opinion. I mean, like Ollie said, like just happens to be that they're all majority female, but there has been like a couple of shots where it's males, and I think it's freaking awesome. Like Daniel, for instance, or Gavin and stuff like that. Like they're freaking awesome. So yeah, it's not. I'm not saying like I only post girls. Like it just happens to be the way it is. So.
I wonder though, is does it hurt the engagement because your feed is already primarily female, and then if you try and introduce some males, then it becomes
it's probably that as well. I think because predominantly, I guess yeah, it's my audience as well, maybe, and like it's not even just like a gender thing. Like you look at most of the portrait feature pages, right? Like most of them aren't even Asian, so it could be a race thing as well. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I think I think it's more like you pick the sort of audience that you're trying to reach, and you also like Ollie, you said you do you for you. You got to enjoy like what it is you're doing. You got to know what you're good at creating, and it's kind of like if you knew that you could create better content using a female subject, then that's your style.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of it doesn't have to be about pleasing everyone. It's about photography is meant to be a creative outlet for a lot of us, a hobby, and so you got to do what you enjoy, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, basically.
Like honestly, to me, it's just the pose and the mood. Like a male will always have like strong features. Like when you look at a male model, they usually have this strong jaw or like something about them. And then like say Raj, for instance, like he will always be the suit guy or like the Drake looking guy. I can't see him in anywhere else.
Yeah.
But with girls, like even in fashion, like there's so much more like variety for girls who wear. Whereas guys, it's more like shorts, shirt, button-up shirt at best. Then what? It's sort of like it's very limited, I guess.
Yeah.
Could it also stem from maybe like it's like self-manifesting because you don't shoot with male models, right? You don't really know how to pose them properly, and then like you fear that posing or lack of diversity in the posing. That's why you don't really go out shoot male models, and because they're compounding like engagement in Instagram or whatever. So that's why you don't shoot it, and that kind of
Yeah, true. Maybe it's a comfort zone type thing. Like you spent the last 3 years doing female models, and then you try doing a male model shoot, didn't turn out very well, and so then you just naturally go back to what you're good at.
And also like having to do a lot of weddings and stuff, right? You have to do. I mean, of course, it's like bride pretty much runs the day. You do a lot of photos of the bride. You do a lot of couples photos together, but then you also need a lot of photos of the groom, like how he poses as well. Like you just kind of have to balance that out. Otherwise, the bride might be like, well, how come there's like 200 photos of me? Not that they mind, but then you end up with like 3 shots of like the groom, one putting on a watch, or one just kind of leaning on a wall. So it's like, where's the rest of them? So you kind of have to kind of balance it out. And I actually found out, not found out, but I actually find that whatever you do with a bride in a wedding setting, you can generally do with the groom. Like, because you're not going to have like, compared to, I mean, it's different to portraiture where, when weddings you can actually pose, you won't have like, different poses like, arms up and all that stuff like that. But, it's, so I generally find that, posing the groom is actually okay as well. So, I mean, I don't have as much experience as you guys in portraiture, but, it'll be good to, maybe it's that fear that stems from not shooting male model enough to know how to pose them. And that's probably why it gets to people as well.
Yeah, no, I actually, personally, I feel, I mean, like, I'll talk about why I primarily shoot females. And the reason why is because I, not that I do photography for a business primarily, right? But just thinking about what my clientele looks like, it's people who are usually designing female clothing, because I feel like there's just a lot more female female clothing designers out there than there are male designers, right? And so I think of them as being my clientele. So therefore, I built that portfolio so that when they look through my work, they're like, okay, so this guy, he's familiar with shooting what they're trying to make clothing for, and so that's primarily why I gravitate towards this space.
Is that true though, that there are more female fashion designers? Do you think that is that actual fact, or is this just your perception of the industry?
I actually feel like there's more male fashion designers.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean the gender of the fashion designers. I mean the clothing that they design.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Well,
sorry, yeah.
I'm not sure which came first, right? Is that you sort of start that work thinking that there are more designers for female clothing, and then that naturally attracts more female designers coming to you on Instagram, and then therefore you just keep building that portfolio. Maybe if I started with male sort of designs, that might have happened. But you think about how many like fashion labels there are in the market, right? I think there are way more female startups than there are male startups. Like, I mean, when's the last time you saw like a suit startup just sort of pop up?
But that's quite interesting because sorry, as you guys know, I don't really post much on Instagram, right? But then I actually did a shoot with Mel. We can link a photo up on this later.
Yeah.
And it's probably ended up being one of my favorite photos. It was just a headshot, like quite cropped shot of Mel.
Yeah.
Mel as in Melody?
No. It's a guy. Oh. It's a guy. It's a portrait of a guy that I did. But then it ended up being one of my favorite photos because just the detail in his face and like the way he did his head's in like dreadlocks. Yeah. So it actually looks really cool. And it's nothing difficult about it, or it's not like super like portraiture posing, but it actually looks like you can tell, like you can probably see the guy's personality through it. Like he's a dancer and everything, so it's pretty cool, and it didn't actually require much posing at all. So to answer your question, I reckon is actually, for me anyway, is that that fear of posting male models. So I don't do it as much, but I should probably do it more.
Yeah,
I think. Well, yeah. Because he's a dancer, naturally he needs to know how he presents himself in front of a camera. Because most dancers dance in front of a camera. Like take instance for like one of my favorite models I like shooting is Grace, and she's a dancer as well, and she knows.
Post a picture up as well.
Yeah, I'll post a picture of her and stuff. Like I'm sure everyone knows her because it's all my viral pictures basically. Is Grace. But anyways, like I think. Like even like my picture of Herb, he's a male model in Melbourne, and that picture actually won the Sony Awards as well. Well, portrait, not the Sony Awards, but the Sony Portrait Comp.
Oh, I know the one.
So I'm not saying like guys are not interesting to shoot or whatever, but it's just I think you just have to really have a clear picture and theme. Like most of my concepts I do are very like I guess female targeted in that, like how they pose or just the stuff that they do, like flower picking or something, or like there's some gracefulness to it. But when it's a male model with broad shoulders and pecs and for days and like an 8-pack, I'm not even talking about a 6-pack, like an 8-pack, right? It's really hard to picture something like that walking through a canola field, right?
Yeah. And even if you try that, that's going to kind of spoil the aesthetic.
Yeah. So it's that's exactly like why, like most of the concepts I come up with is a bit more like, sort of like graceful, or a bit of out of this world imagination. But with guys, it's like, if it was, I think it'd be like a concept where they ride like a motorcycle, or very typical, like, aesthetic.
Sort of like a macho sort of feel.
Yeah.
So is that the limiting factor or the limitation on the imagination?
It's not. It's just my shit imagination.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. We got that sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
What about you guys?
Okay. Actually, like maybe like there is like several factors that can like affecting why a lot of photographers have like all of them like portfolio is females.
Yeah.
Like for my experience itself, like it's like one is a specialty basically. Like like you only special with the female shoot, Is it the first time? And then like joining into photography industries itself. Like I don't know, it's like easier to shoot with females models and then like gain exposure and then like can recognize like, oh, your work is great by using females model, but using like males model is kind of hard to imagine like how to enter that like kind of field, like photography field, because there is not many male models as well, like available. And then like if you like, start nowhere, basically like I'm starting my photography like by shooting my friends, and like my only friends that comfortable with camera always female. Right?
True. I think there are way more like female, well, let's say subjects. Who are more comfortable being in front of camera than say if you sit to your male friends, your bros and stuff. Oh, I'm trying to start photography. Can you pose for me? Their first reaction is most likely going to be no.
Would you pose for me? Yeah.
For you, I would say because I trust you.
Cool. Oh wow, let's get the show on the road then, eh?
But I mean, in general, there's a lot more female models than there are male models. In general, right? Like, if you went through like the people you know, just say even in Good Shot Mate, like typically, like Good Shot Mate is very good at trying to balance like male to female ratio in terms of models as well. But still, like it always seems like there's a recurring like few people that are males because the sample size is just that much smaller. Like if we say like for Alolan Gardens, we wanted a picnic theme. We wanted a guy with a strong jawline and rather masculine, but sort of fit that picnic vibe. It's very limited. Like there was only, I think we
did look through quite a few, and it was quite hard to find that. But I think it comes back to were we looking hard enough? Because if you think about photographers that primarily shoot males, I think they have an abundance of subjects available. Like people like Michelle Lancaster and John Ramos. These two they do a lot of male subject. And like the entire feed it's full of different models, all based in Melbourne.
Should we make a challenge for ourselves then?
Sounds like we need to.
Yeah, I reckon it sounds like a
push my
challenge.
comfort zone.
I think in some ways, like the way we structure the GSM road trips, the reason why we have the 2 male models, and this is like Tommy's input as well, is that Tommy likes to have that diversity in the road trips, and he's trying to he does encourage all of us to shoot more males, and I think that's to help people get out of their comfort zone as well. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What a touchy subject.
I know, it's topical. Okay.
Fuck you, James.
Before we close out, if someone called you out, would you respond to it, or would you just like stop? Would you just leave it?
I'll actually just leave it.
Just leave it, right?
Just leave it.
I think it's sort of like politics. Like with Hong Kong protests, like you could take either side, right?
That's topical.
Let's not get into that. Let's not get into this topic. Oh my god.
When you either like fight to the end or don't talk about it and just let it slide, even if it's against like what your opinions are.
Yeah. So you're saying that you would respond?
I wouldn't.
Kenny. Okay. I would just let it go in terms of I don't have energy to fight these kind of things.
Yeah.
It's just a waste of my time.
True.
So
No, because like the time is better used on doing something more productive.
Yeah.
I agree. That's what I do as well. I take note that someone else has noticed this.
But you can't please everyone.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You just can't. The person you have to please is yourself.
Yeah. What would you, David? You haven't said.
Oh well, no, I actually agree with everyone's opinion. I reckon just you don't have to waste time on it. If someone called you out on it, you take note. Oh, thanks for noticing. I'm happy with my feed at the moment. I guess my feed is not for you.
I wouldn't even respond with that. I would just.
I will respond kind of politely and then just end the conversation. I wouldn't entertain anymore. But then I'll respond to show that I acknowledge your input and your opinion. But thank you, no thanks.
Fair enough.
And then that's it. And then I'll just stop it there.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't seem like you're backing down if you actually acknowledge it. If you just don't say anything, it just feels like you are kind of, you're just kind of hiding a little bit. But you just come out and say, yep, thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Very topical.
Moving on.
Yes.
Yes, moving on.
Moving on.
All right, what's next?
So how does shooting weddings and portraits different?
Oh, this is interesting.
We were talking about this just offline, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Interesting
So,
topic.
Where do we start?
Let's start with framing. Like, how's it different?
Well, I reckon there's lot more uniform kind of shooting in the middle. Like you kind of place the subjects more towards the middle frame compared
For
to
what?
like
For portraits.
for weddings and stuff.
No, I think you
man.
do that for portraits as well, man.
Mm,
I think, like, in my opinion,
Yep.
with weddings, you showcase more of the landscape. Like,
The negative space.
yeah, the negative space, right?
Definitely.
But
In the
actually,
weddings.
hang on. Before we get into that, it's actually a lot to do with personal preference as well.
Yeah, of
Right?
course.
Like for example, like my shooting style is I like to shoot like the more emotional type of weddings. Like I like to capture the stuff that's that's happening between the couple. Like I'll just have my camera all the way back there with an 85 or even 70-200 and then just kind of snipe them when they're least expecting it and then capture that emotion moment. And then that, there's a few different types of photographers and I like to do that and then crop it quite close in.
So like some other wedding photographers,
Mhm.
they like to shoot what's behind the couples and put them in focus.
Like a giraffe
Blur
or
it
something.
Yeah, or a car.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just
Or what?
personal
I know
style.
exactly what.
No, it's different style. That's a wonderful photo too, but it's just different styles. Like that captures the mood, which is really good, I reckon. But you know, not every shoot has a bloody giraffe in it, right?
So you say, well, but that's any photography, man. Like you can have a personal preference with portraits, shooting upside down portraits all the time.
Or unfocused portraits.
Yeah, or out of focus is because it's art.
Is it art?
It's subjective.
Subjective.
That's our next
always been
topic.
subjective.
Is out of focus
No, we-
subject.
We gotta do that.
But I mean, back to the topic, the original topic, like wedding, like, I mean, certainly, like learning a bit more about portraiture photography now. I think there are similarities, but then I reckon wedding photography is actually just more kind of like, I would say there's. I'm gonna get flamed for this either way, right? So it's like I think there's an expectation that you get those traditional shots. The people that book you for they want you to do their wedding is because you showcase their photo previous photos to show them, right? It's a representation of your work. And there's not much deviation from that. Like I'm not sure about like Joanne, you've done a few weddings before, right?
Yep.
You probably noticed that all the shots are like relatively similar.
Yes.
Similar because it's expected that you get a picture of the groom. It's expected you get a picture of the bride and kind of together and something like that. Like you can experiment a lot, but you don't have the time, or you just don't have the time to really place a light here and get everything like perfect because the perfect is the moment. The moment is perfect in itself.
So, but you're talking about the couples and then things like I'm talking when you just say shooting just the bride itself.
Yeah.
In terms of your composition and things like that, I think there's a lot of kind of overlap with portraiture.
Yeah.
In
now
general.
that you say it, yeah.
When you just take photos just of the bride, I think with the wedding style, there's a lot more like magical kind of fairy tale kind of vibe to it. Your shit.
But I don't make the tacky like fairy tale
I
focus
know.
clarity down crap, right?
Yeah.
But yes, no, but like I do agree there are some overlap, especially when shooting the bride alone, because like our previous topic was, shooting just female models and everything, right? There's a lot of overlap. But remember, brides are not models. This might be the first time they're in front of a camera. So you actually have to give it a lot more direction. You have to visualize it a lot more. They're not just going to pose themselves for you.
Would you say it's more like a lifestyle type? Because lifestyle photography was also different to portrait,
Yeah.
but there are similarities.
I think all photography have similarities, but it's just more of like there's comparing weddings to portrait is like comparing like two different type of cars. There are similarities, but you'll go race Ferrari, but you won't go race a Toyota Yaris or something because it might break down and you just never know.
Because you're saying like with
Don't get
wedding
to the
photography, it's about the moment, right?
That's right. It's all about the moment.
Okay, so what's the difference to shooting zoo animals? 'Cause that's also about
So
the
you're
moment.
comparing a bride to like a zoo animal.
But it's also like they can't pose.
Yeah, but
It's
they
capturing
can,
the moment.
But a bride or groom can listen to instructions, right?
Well, so can zoo animals.
What? Come here,
Feed it
sit.
some
What?
peanuts.
What?
If you train an orangutan,
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure they
it's
know how to
different,
pose.
Different.
Yeah, that's getting a bit off topic, but I think you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
I actually think of wedding photography as being, rather than a direct comparison to just being wedding or
Mm.
portrait. It's a subset of portrait photography.
yeah,
I think so.
Because at the end of the day, your subject is, you are taking a portrait of
Yeah.
the bride in some ways, yeah.
And they are aware that there is a camera.
yeah,
Or groom.
Or groom.
Yes.
and
Or
groom.
both grooms.
Ah,
Yeah.
Two
Both
brides.
groom and two both
Yeah.
bride. There's
You're
Or
trying to
two
cover
brides.
all.
Politically
Oh, man.
PC.
It's hard. It's them, not him or her. It's them.
It's them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, ultimately, I reckon it's really good to know both. I mean, to understand both. If you haven't tried it, you can just tag along to your favorite.
Yeah, I think
whatever
when you
song.
say you're starting off in portraiture, I still think you have a good basis
Oh,
from
thanks.
your wedding.
Oh, thanks, Ollie.
I've seen you shoot, man.
Oh, thank you. No, but yeah, it's like portrait photography. It's, to me, like, being relatively new to it, coming from a wedding background of over like 8 years of weddings, shooting weddings. Portrait is more fun to me at the moment because I still like doing
novel
weddings.
to you,
It's
right?
it's
Mm.
new,
Something
and
different.
like I can actually go
Yeah.
to the model. Oh, can you actually do this? Can we try this? That's not actually working. Can we try this? Can you do your facial expression? I can't go to a bride.
Like,
Go, oh, that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
really working. You know?
No, well, can't you just say smile a little bit more? Yeah, that's
Yeah, you
good,
can- you can just smile a
But
bit
you
more.
can't
Look at
frustrate
each
them.
other. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
frustrate them, you're gone, man. Like,
yeah.
And
That's true.
besides, smiling for the whole day is actually very, very tiring.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's tiring.
some of them, like, I guess there's certain skills probably not related to photography that you kind of need as a wedding photographer as well. You need to kind of really being able to connect with them, talk with them. I mean, yes, you do with portrait photography, but then it's finished within like 2-3 hours, right? You're not going to shoot for like 12 hours, 14 hours.
Not
Portrait
unless you're on
sessions.
good shop mate trips.
Hey.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. 11 of those hours are in the bus.
Oh.
just
No,
this.
but like going back to when you said, laughing is hard. I guess that's why I love portrait photography is that I always tell my models, put on your resting bitch face.
Is that your thing?
Yeah.
Resting bitch face. Because it's moody and it's
Mm.
easy. Anyone's got a resting bitch
I
face.
just call it model face these days.
Model
you
face?
can't say resting bitch face, man. That's
Just
No,
model face?
but it also
It-
gets
it
them
offends people.
laughing and stuff. And
some of them laugh.
Depends on the model.
yeah,
the
I
model's
guess
up for
so.
it, then.
But
Yeah.
this guy's pretty proper. I guess I'm a bit ragtag and
Fair.
But also, like, going back to the topic as well, like, you can't reshoot a wedding day. Like, if you just get the model face of a bride and groom for the whole day,
Yeah.
like, you just can't redo it. I mean, to an extent, you can like reshoot, but it's their wedding day. You just can't capture
Recreate
that.
it.
Yeah, you can't really recreate it. So, and
Hmm.
you also need to look out for those moments. You know when things are going to happen, and that just comes with experience naturally.
Yeah.
And for example, you plan to go to Fitzroy Gardens or something, and then you see 5 different brides there, or the gardens are closed, or Parliament House is under renovations. Where are you going to go? It's starting to rain, or the sun is actually really, really harsh. Where are you going to go?
You
And
have it all
you-
planned out, right?
No, but you can plan all you want, but then
Yeah.
or the limousines came late, or there's a traffic jam down because there's a protest down Collins Street. Like, there's all these things. Like, you have to know, you got a whole bridal party of like maybe 10 people looking at you. Where do we go? What are we doing? You just need to make sure that you have backup plans and the knowledge to also think on the spot and make sure they get their photos. And they have a time limit as well to get the reception. So I reckon, like James said, to wrap up, I reckon it is a subset, and Ollie said it's a subset. But I reckon there's a bit of skill in there which you need to have as a wedding photographer, and also vice versa. You need a lot of portraiture skills as well. So that's why I'm experimenting this, and I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying it.
No, I think like you're sort of like dabbling in portraiture is going to improve the wedding aspect a lot.
Oh, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like-
always
like
about
a lot, because-
interchanging like
Yeah.
your experiences because basically being a jack of all trades in today's world and being able to apply your experiences from other fields makes you a better specialist.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, true.
And like vice versa as well. Like if you did portraiture and you try wedding, like I reckon your ability to sort of like capture snap moments will definitely improve because like you do so much of that in weddings.
What do you reckon, John? You
do a bit of both now, don't you?
Yeah, like three weddings.
What do you identify more as, wedding, or do you call yourself portrait?
Portrait.
When people ask you, what do you do?
Graduate.
Graduation.
I like
wedding.
more like family events kind of thing, like moments captured, and then like a portrait as well. Like basically, I try to insert some like emotion and story as well in my portraits. Like try to at least.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I mean like for David's as well, like said, wedding is kind of similar with graduations. Like people like only have like 1 hour to shoot, and then they need to go to the ceremony.
Yeah.
Like you need to capture like that moment. Like James yesterday complained like the sun is so hard. Like what we're gonna do? Like you need to like think on the spot.
The sun is too hard.
I don't know that I was that stressed about it, but
But I mean like you need to think on the spot. Like I mean like need the alternative, blah blah blah. And like capture the moment. Like maybe similar like when the friends and the graduate meet, you need to capture it like when they hugging, and then when they like just kissing or whatever with the family. Like it's more like you need to be ready, but like more portrait is like more chill. Like you have
relaxed to try.
relax, and then you have like the time to think about the creativity about your portrait. But if it's like basically, I think the difference is about the time difference. Like between like events, weddings, graduation, and portrait. Like portrait, you have like a lot of times to think. Yeah. But if it's like wedding, you like limited time, and like you need to think on that spot immediately.
You
like
have to
snap, everything snap, basically.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Cool. Any final comments?
Well, I would say maybe we'll open up to the comments below. Like, if you got, what do you guys think about like wedding photography versus portraits? Do you agree that it is a subset? And I mean, if you do or if you don't, comment below and let us know what else what else should we have considered?
What else should we discuss?
Yeah, we discuss next at least.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Catch you guys in the next episode. See ya.
Bye, guys.